Tonight, we're going on an adventure and soaring through the clouds. This is DXB Today.
Hello, and welcome to DXB Today. Get ready to be inspired by the incredible stories of trailblazing women who are paving the way in aviation.
Indeed, we will also dive deep into the glitz and glamour of private aviation, from its luxurious interiors to the exclusive perks.
And we meet a drone company that wants to be the future of delivery in the region. So guys, any of you been on a private jet?
No, but if you'd like to offer me a seat, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I would go as well. I've never been, but I was looking into it with my friends to see how much it would cost for us to take a short flight somewhere to like Europe or America, for example.
Yeah,
Like
what is it? I've heard,
Yeah.
I've heard the minimum is like $1,000, and other places I've read I mean, that is nowhere near what I am able to afford, I would say. But yeah,
looking into it, it was like, yeah, it was like buying a first-class ticket, let's say on Emirates or Etihad.
Okay.
And for every single one that's going to take the private jet, then if you're looking into it, if you're actually flying first, then you'd rather just take a private jet to fly to Europe.
It's the same price as flying first.
I don't know anybody who flies first class. I think you're living a better life than I am right now. I just have this fantasy of being upgraded every time I go travel. I'm like, please God, let this be the day.
It
It happens. Just be nice to the lady at the counter.
I used to work in aviation. It does not happen.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but if you travel solo, I think your chances increase dramatically.
Yes,
but I always go with 2 kids, and there's no way that's happening for me. But anyway, maybe we can get some tips from our guests today and hopefully find out how accessible private aviation is.
Yes.
Now, who better to co-host with us today than a true visionary and powerhouse in the world of business and aviation? Let's meet our guest co-host.
Hi everyone, I'm Laila Hareb of Mheiri. I'm a group CEO for Allied Companies, and I'm a former government official in aviation, and can't wait to join you in the studio.
Now, Laila is quite the pioneer, and we get to hear more of her story shortly. But first, let's hear the story of how this former cabin crew member pivoted her career. Let's check it out.
I'm here at Jetlagged Chef kitchen, where I'm going to be meeting the owner and founder, Eliza, where she was serving food at 40,000 feet, but now she's delivering it to your door. Well, I am here at Jetlagged Chef with the founder and owner, Eliza, and she's going to tell me a little bit about what she's doing.
Thank you, and thank you for coming. Welcome to my kitchen.
So I have also come from an aviation background similar to you, and I know when I left aviation, it wasn't easy. There was a lot of obstacles for me, but I pursued my passions. Can you tell us a little bit more about where did this all start?
Sure. So during COVID, we had a lot of time on our hands. My husband and I are very different. He is very performance driven. He likes to eat something that is super healthy. I like to eat things that are tasty. And during COVID, we wanted to eat together. So there was one catch. I had to calorie track it. So I started calorie tracking, I learned a lot about the nutrition behind it, and started sharing on my Instagram. I started an Instagram just for fun, to be honest. And then we started cooking for a few friends, and it all just escalated to me owning this kitchen now.
Tell me more about, like, when you started the small kitchen, you said you were cooking for a couple of friends.
Yeah.
How did that then escalate to owning this? Tell us about the process.
It just spread from word of mouth. I've been living here for 11 years, so the Dubai community is amazing. People would tell their friends, people would message me, I would just take on new customers, and I would learn a lot from what I was cooking. The menu kept changing, and then we took a bit of a leap and started a smaller kitchen in Marina.
So for being in aviation for a very long time, you're very used to working in a team. So I'm sure it was not easy then. You started off alone. So are you still working alone?
Definitely not working alone, thankfully. It was difficult at first, trying to do multiple things at once. I think from that huge shift, I might have taken for granted how many different kind of departments that my previous airline had and how many things they helped me with. And then I began being my safety department, my ordering department, my customer service, everything. It was a really big adjustment, but now I have a wonderful team.
Well, I love the story. You know, like you started off small for a couple of friends, and now you've grown your team, and now you've moved to different cities in the Emirates.
Yep.
Was that all possible?
It all started just from the community and friends that I have in Dubai. We had one particular friend who introduced me to our now business partner. He has so much knowledge, so he sort of mentored me along the way, and we just slowly grew to what we have now.
Now, what can you tell somebody that will be stepping out of their comfort zone and trying something new?
Just to do it. It's scary, and I think that's the fun of it, the thrill of it, is doing something different. It's worth it. It's very hard what we've done here, but I'm really happy and really proud of what we've achieved at the same time.
Well, thank you so much. Well, I'm going to try definitely some more food later on, and it's a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you for coming.
I had an amazing time where I got to taste beautiful food, but one thing I have to tell you, talking to Eliza reminded me of my time in aviation, and to let everybody know, you can do whatever you want as long as you put your mind to it, and the world is unlimited.
They say the UAE is the land of opportunities, and you can see it like she did it with Jetlagged Chef. A great job. That's making me so hungry. But we have our guest co-host sitting next to me, Dr. Laila Abdelaziz. Thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Your resume is filled with everything, from aviation to starting your own company and being the CEO. Can you please tell us more about this whole journey that you've had?
Do we have time?
Yeah.
Very
true.
Summary.
Very true. Very true.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was with the government of UAE for quite a long time, actually.
Yeah.
So it's nearly 30 years I was with the government. And I moved across the infrastructure, across transportation, and I ended up 12 years in aviation field. So that was my last stop in government job. From that, I transitioned after I retired to human capabilities prioritizing in the private sector. So we are all investing in technologies, we are investing in systems, we are investing in companies, but human capabilities are often neglected. So when we look at technologies, I concentrate on how technology is benefiting human capabilities, not the other way around. So as the investment is for the sake of humanity at the end. And coming from aviation, I could see a lot of opportunities, and especially public policy maker. I could see a lot of gaps in aviation and in the medical. So I started a group of companies where every company is a puzzle in a whole picture I can see in future. They are all under one holistic vision.
Yeah.
So we address human capabilities when it comes to physical. So we do trading for different devices, all about innovation and how can we enhance the diagnostic and treatments in different fields.
Yeah.
And I specialize actually in sleep. I'm a holistic therapist. So there are 4 pillars of your health. There is sleep and the oxygen coming into your body, which is the breathing. Okay, and then there is the nutritionist and your lifestyle, mental and mental being. So if we take care of these 4 issues, then we will have a better organization efficiency, and not only your personal efficiency. And we will really reduce a lot of chronic diseases that we are having right now because of the lifestyle that the world living in right now is not helping the human body to heal itself.
At all.
At all, definitely. So we have a medical center which is all about holistic and new innovation in natural medicine.
Yes.
I'm still in aviation, so I'm an expert in aviation, and we deal a lot about aviation consultancy. And finally, again, human capability, but in cybersecurity. So we invest a lot in technologies, but 99% of the hacks are because of human negligence and human errors. So I look at that, which the 2080, so we need to increase human capability and not put a lot of money in the investment of technology. That is the best way to protect ourselves from cyber threats.
Abdulaziz, you are very, very incredibly humble. From my time in aviation, I know that you are a big name in aviation and you've consulted on some of the largest projects in the world, and you still are, without naming names. How did you go from, in the government sector in aviation a long time ago, there wasn't that many women. So tell us about the UAE's kind of transformation when it comes to having women in aviation and how that journey has gone for you personally, being one of the forerunners in that area.
Yeah, I think it's still challenging for women to go into aviation. So at that period, I moved from the Roads and Transport Authority. We established a beautiful entity, a very successful entity. I was part of the founding team of RTA, and GCAA, or the Aviation Regulatory, needed transformation, and the management, the government, they realized that aviation, in order to, to grow, we are growing. We have very strong airlines in the world. So we really needed that the regulator and the policy makers, they go hand in hand with the same pace of the development of aviation. So they headhunted me. I got out of RTA, so I moved to aviation, and it was a new world for me. It was extremely challenging because I'm a software engineer.
Wow.
And I worked in infrastructure and DIWA, and then I moved to being a transport strategist, but land transport, rail, metro, etc. I went to aviation, and this is what my advice for everyone and for all women to just go and try, go and jump into the water and try to swim and not think about it before. Because if I had a bit of thought, I would not do it, because I was like so scared. I mean, this is something which is complicated, and the aviation, when they talk about it, they make it very complicated. Yeah. They make it extremely complex, extremely technical, and extremely protected by the earlier player of aviation. So for me, it was intimidating. But for me, I mean, I've never shied away from any experience or challenge. So I jumped in, and immediately I started increasing my skills and capabilities in aviation. Had senior management in Singapore of aviation, and I studied. So the knowledge, it went up like that very quickly. And I didn't have time. So I was head of the transformation of aviation. While I still learning about aviation, I had to transform it. So that's a huge challenge, yeah. But we did it, and we went from, I think, the aviation safety records, which was 53, but once we finished with the transformation, we were #1 in safety across the world,
wow.
#1 in security across the world, and I hope they maintain that level. And I was responsible for air transport agreements as well, and before I leave, we reached #1 in open skies. And this is what is supporting Etihad, supporting Emirates, supporting all the airlines, in order for them to have a better market access and move to cities and move to different destinations without the constraint of traffic rights.
A way to go to the UAE, and to you
yes.
for all your accomplishments. But I have to agree with Dua over here that you are very modest, because I've looked at your story, and you are somebody who likes to defy all odds. And I know that you overcame something that happened to you personally, which I know you don't bring up, but you were once paralyzed,
yes.
and you overcame paralysis,
yes.
and took on all these challenges. That was just the beginning of your journey, and your role as a woman and all the issues that the challenges, I should say, that you face there. What has been your attitude? What's something that you've learned through your journey that you've really has really helped you push through and remain so determined?
I think that experience I had played a big role about it, but I was a single mother, and my children were the driver, not only that experience. But when I was paralyzed, first of all, I got it from chickenpox from my kids. So this is another medical advice for people who didn't get chickenpox virus. Whoa. They might have complications when they are adults. So I got it from the kids. They were 3 and 5, my girls. And I was paralyzed for quite some time. And it was very hard for me. But during that, I was blessed to have that paralysis, because it really changed my mentality towards life. It changed my mentality towards what we can do and what we can't do. And because I felt that my life is over and I don't have hand. You know, you cannot move, so you don't have those tools that we take for granted. You take your hands for granted, your legs for granted, your mind for granted, your tongue for granted. You know, the speech, your speech is a big freedom that you have. If you are paralyzed and you can't speak, you have no idea about, you know, the constraints that you feel. So once I felt the gratitude, you know, of all the tools that God created us with, and then I started to say, yeah, this is a responsibility. I'm accountable of how I use these tools on this land. So this is something that everybody should feel grateful about what he has and needs to be accountable and to play a role in society. There's a lot of people who retired and they're just sitting and enjoying their life, but this is not what we are created for. We are created for to build this land and to create a better world for the future. And it's not a cliche when you say create a better world for the future. That's exactly why we are here. And working and, you know, getting knowledge day after day and learning, continuous learning. This will make you feel younger. This will make you feel happier. And all these mental illnesses, if we are just, you know, not doing anything and not having a purpose in life, and then those things will creep in our minds and creep in our brains, and we will start having a lot of issues because we don't know where we are going, we don't have a purpose in life. I could hear a lot of people, a lot of young people, they say, we don't have a purpose of life. The thing is, your purpose in life is just to work. Choose whatever you do. Do whatever you do. That's your purpose. Yes, just be there and have a value. That's your purpose. Yes.
Amazing. Thank
Really
you, Abdulaziz. I cannot wait to dive into this a lot more with you in a minute, but it's time for a short break. And when we return, we meet another changemaker defying the odds and making history. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Our next guest is the first female aircraft engineer in the UAE. Please help me welcome Dr. Engineer Suaad Al Shamsi, aircraft engineer and technical consultant. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Can you please tell us, how did the journey start? How did your journey in this field start?
Started more than 23 years exactly in 2000. I was crazy about cars, airplane, and I always steal it from my brother. I give him my money, pocket money, and I tell him, don't tell my mom, because she wanted for me to be a medical doctor, like my sister, and I hate
It's
it.
always like that.
I like to open cars, the airplane, the small one, to see how to fix it. And because her house is near to Dubai International Airport, I was counting each aircraft, and I want to know more about it. So I told her I want to be the doctor of such an aircraft, and everyone think about it. They're a doctor of aircraft, and searching, I noticed like I want to be an aeronautical engineer. I decided to enter to the field, but unfortunately it was not available for gear in United Arab Emirates. So I have to search for a university. So I travel with His Highness program, Dad Al Qada, to UK, and it was exactly in 2001. I started my journey in the aviation. Until today, I am passionate about it.
Way to go! Engineer Suaad, now you have defied so many odds, and I know we were talking before the show, and she amazed me with her countless stories. But there was a number of things, you know, being obviously the first female. You told me that you face physical challenges as well. Also, even your family you had to convince. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
You know, when you come from a background, you never, aviation industry, you need to be fluent in English. And I was zero in English. And physically, I was 160 kg. And whenever I go to interview, they were doing fun of me. I remember one of the interview, they told me you will break the wing. And this is the slap you get it and say, I need to change the mentality of people. I need to enter and follow my dream. And my family, they support me, but they were panicked, like, is it possible to be in this field? And my mom always like, Suaad, go back to your dream. go back to sleep. And I told her, and she wanted me to be a doctor. And I told her, I will be a doctor of the aircraft. I promise you. And she supported me in a way. I know her praise support me to reach where I am. And I noticed it's starting from inside that you need to change the mentality of the people.
100%.
The physically image, it's yours. Don't let people judge you and tell you what you can or you cannot. And I changed it. I learned English. I remember the course it was to be 1 year. I took it to 3 months. And the teacher told me, for 8 and 9 hours every day I go to class, and he said, enough. I said, I need to be fluent because I want to be in this field. And today I take a promise. The title is very nice. Always people, they are passionate about the first or even an aircraft engineer. It's your responsibility for the new generation, how I need to support the new girl to enter to the field, because the percentage is less than 2% as aircraft engineer, 7% as a pilot. So I take this responsibility to show the world what you can or you cannot.
You are absolutely a source of inspiration.
Absolutely, absolutely. Suaad, yesterday I was with you in the airport show. They discussed a few important things about the future of aviation, the future of the role of women in aviation. They talked about artificial intelligence and all those good things. So you had challenges, so many challenges entering this field. But what can we, show the new generation? What kind of opportunity is out there in the future? Is it only an aircraft engineer or a pilot, or the future will look differently?
The future will look differently. When I'm talking about more than 23 years, the aircraft design has been changed. A lot of job came. We are not talking, Laila, she knows, yesterday when we discussed it in Women in Aviation conference, we started this organization from 10 years. With a group of founders, we never thought people will be passionate and knows about the field more as a woman. Today we are more than 3,000 members in this organization. And we show the world that you can be a doctor, as a medical doctor, you can be air traffic controller, you be cabin crew, you be IT. The field itself is so huge and the growing. When I did my research for the next 10 years, we need more than 12,000 pilots, 24,000 aircraft engineers, and more than 50,000 jobs. It will be available because the field is growing. Who don't love flying?
True.
Who don't want to go? Who don't love the aircraft? So I think the future as a career, not only is my area as aircraft engineer, a lot of job, intelligent and mobility, drones. Yesterday we discussed a lot of the future, how the report will come, the future of the airport design, the strategy. If I will name it, you will think like this industry is so huge. So I think the opportunity not only for women as well as the girl, they will the male, they will find a lot of job in this industry, but they need to understand where should they fit.
Yeah. We just saw you in action right now. There was some brilliant footage of you, and just hearing you speak, you're so passionate. It's lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dr. Laila, Dr. Suaad, so both of you have studied aviation. Between the three of us, we've worked in aviation for a number of years. What would you say to the next generation? Because I never thought having a business degree that I had a place in aviation. So I was so happy to be accepted into the aviation club. I thought I was special. But now for the future generation, like you mentioned, artificial intelligence, technology, how can they make their way into? What would you advise them to study, to get into aviation?
I always believe reading. You have to read a lot. You have to ask the expert. Today we see you reach to the expert through the social media, through the TV, texting, it's easier. I remember when I joined the field, I never be able to talk to anyone. Today with the social media, you can reach the people. You have to read to know what is at the field. When we are talking about the main manufacturing in the worldwide, Boeing and Airbus, they have a lot of opportunity. The new generation, they need to understand where they fit, what they need, and what their future. And a lot of the question, okay, if I will be an aircraft engineer or pilot or air traffic controller, how long I will continue? You can't turn to be in the management. The field will not ever limit you in a specific level. because as you're growing, you reach to the leadership position, management position, you need to understand reading and ask the expert. From 10 of experts, 2 of them, they will answer you and see how you will be unique. As I mentioned, the percentage of women is very less, so your opportunity will be high. And dream high, no harm.
Sky's
For
the
you,
limit.
yes.
Sky's your
Women
limit.
power today.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
You've given me goosebumps, by the way, at least 3 times since the morning when I've met you.
God
And
bless you.
yeah, very inspired. Thank
God
you
bless you.
thank you for joining us today.
Yes,
Thanks.
Dr. Saad, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us on the show today.
It's my pleasure.
Our DXB Today Spotlight today is a drone company that wants to be the future of delivery services in the region. Check out our interview with Khalid Bartawi, co-founder of Dronehop.
I'm used to be an ex-pilot for Emirates Airlines. I've flown on the Boeing 777s. I've also saw a little bit about Dronehop. Dronehop is a technology startup that uses different technologies such as machine learning, artificial intelligence, computer vision, and sensing technologies to solve lots of issues within the healthcare and maritime industries. So we at Dronehop are solving the issues of getting critical products or things to critical places at a very timely manner. Actually, an airline is even easier to start because there are regulations, you know what you need, you know, everything's ready. Except with drones and logistics with drones, it's still a very emerging market. It's still a very premature market. And the regulators are still not sure, not just here, even in the US, even in Europe, even in Australia. So it's still a very premature market. And some of the biggest issues that we have actually faced is regulations. What drone delivery can do is actually change lives, save lives, and actually make lives better. So these are some of the things that we're trying to bring into the region to make Dubai the smartest city in the world. So just imagine you're at home, you're receiving a package that's coming by drone. There's a drone at 100 feet, and what happens is there's a winch that's actually dropping that package. That's just going to be the coolest delivery experience, and it must be the coolest delivery experience. What we're trying to do is also be the first drone delivery company that's actually doing drone deliveries, not just in the UAE, but hopefully in the MENA region. If I had an entire day to relax, I would most probably spend it with my family. I think family is the most important thing in the world.
You know, I always say the UAE is incredible when it comes to how many things you can get delivered, and Khalid just took it up a notch. He's going to make it even more efficient. Well, it's time for the daily roundup where we discuss trending topics. Dot, what do you have for us today?
Thank you, Dina. In keeping with our aviation theme today, we've noticed that traveling on commercial planes with pets becomes increasingly difficult. So animal owners are actually turning to private aviation. Private jet companies have stepped it up, offering air travel for pets inside the plane, with some even having dedicated onboard pet programs. What do we think, guys?
Sounds like an excellent plan if you've got a lot of money, is what I think. You know, one of the reasons I don't actually get a pet is because I'm so nervous about what are we going to do when we travel every summer.
Yeah.
So it is true. There's definitely, that must be a really big issue. Do you have any pets?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you sound like you got, she's like, I've got a whole zoo.
No, I have a dog and I have a cat. And I agree that we need to really change the way that we transport animals. But I don't agree to take, passenger seats to make it available to animals, because there's a lot of issues to make air transport available for everyone.
Yeah.
So if we are taking that share and we are giving it to animals, I mean, it will reduce the supply for passengers. But again, I don't agree to throw the animals in the cargo, and
Yeah.
that's wrong,
difficult.
absolutely wrong. And a lot of animals actually they don't reach the other end. I mean,
They
there's
don't survive.
a lot
Oh,
of issues. Yes, they do not
no.
survive.
Interesting. Topic 2 is we've got a new airport in the south of Kigali in Rwanda set to become one of the busiest airports in Africa. Slated for completion in 2026, the new facility will boast a whopping 130,000 square meters main terminal building, capable of accommodating 8 million passengers a year, a figure actually targeted to go over 14 million in the next decade or so.
Wow.
So what do we think of Kigali in Rwanda having the busiest airport in Africa?
Wow, I was in Africa for so many times, you know, and Rwanda is one of the fastest growing economy. And I'm not surprised that they are investing in their airport, because they need that kind of infrastructure to support their economic growth. Not only Rwanda, Uganda is growing very fast. Ghana is growing very fast, and we can see a lot of new airports, airlines, a lot of funds going in Africa, and now everybody is fighting for those funds. You know, China, the States, Europe, they are fighting who can support Africa better. So
Absolutely.
yes,
Well, way to
so
go to
the future is Africa.
I love it. And you know what's interesting about this is that Rwanda is in the center of Africa, so it would make traveling across Africa much easier because it's so close. Kind of like the UAE being so strategic as a location to east and west, or like the bridge. So Rwanda would be the same thing in Africa.
Well, it's
Great.
their moment.
I wish that they can fix their domestic flights, because they are still having issues with the country to country within Africa. So they have political issues that hinder their economic growth. But I'm very happy. I'm extremely happy to see that kind of growth in the middle of Africa. And we will see it. West Africa will follow soon.
Well, let's see what the future holds for Africa. I've heard tourism is set to double in the next 10 years, so fingers crossed. Now we're going to be right back after the break with more insights into the world of private jets. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. Now we are joined by a tech entrepreneur and innovation consultant with a background in international law, aviation and motorsport. Please join me in welcoming the managing partner of Jet Equity, Asad Rahman. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome,
So,
Asad.
what a mix, aviation, motorsport. Tell us how Jet Equity started.
So Jequity started almost by accident, actually. As I think a lot of things start by. I was a lawyer in the UK. I was a barrister there, and I was traveling between Dubai and London quite a bit. And I realized that actually there might be a better way to do this. So I clubbed together with a bunch of friends, and we realized it was cheaper to charter a private jet just between those two places. So we created almost like a mini shuttle. And then where it kind of went sideways was when people said, well, hang on a minute, I want to fly to this destination. Can we do this for that? So then it was like, okay, maybe someone should create like an Uber for private jets. So that's what took me down the aviation direction. And then Jequity was created a few years later. And we really focus on investing in business aviation as a whole, so the whole industry.
This is something that we were discussing earlier, because I was saying we looked at it, me and my friends, just to
Sure.
see how it would cost us to travel to Europe, for instance, from here on a private jet. And then we looked at the tickets of first class and some of the airlines, and it's very similar price-wise.
Sure.
Do you think it's easier to own a private jet or just rent it out?
So, okay, so that's actually an interesting question. So if you don't want the headache and the hassle of owning an aeroplane, yeah, I guess chartering out is a good way to doing it.
Yeah.
There's lots of other ways to fly other than just charter and owning. So
Yes.
some people own fractions, so that's very popular in the US, where let's say all of us decided, okay, well, we all need a private jet, we could just all own fractions in it instead.
Oh, wow.
So it reduces the cost of ownership considerably. The other thing is something called a jet card, where you buy blocks of hours. So let's say I'm the private jet company and you come to me and say, well, Asad, I don't really need to own the plane, but I don't want to pay the high rates of charter, so can I buy 150 hours from you in one go? So that reduces the cost. But ownership is really for people who fly over 300 hours a year. That's when it starts to become more cost effective to own an aircraft.
I think what we've learned from here is that we all need to hang out with Ahmed a bit more, because not just talking about private aviation. He's like, should I just buy my own jet? I mean,
you can talk to me
I'm just
afterwards.
asking for a friend.
but you're making it more accessible to people. I mean,
Sure.
that's the point you're making here, right? What are some of the advantages to traveling taking advantage of private aviation and making it more affordable? How do you do that?
I would say that, prior to COVID, a lot of people didn't really understand private aviation that well, because it is a cottage industry globally, even though it's global. After COVID, people realized that, when we go through an airport, there's so many touch points, there's so many people, and a lot of the ones who are sort of very risk averse and could afford to do it went down the private aviation route. So private aviation is really, it's more time efficient. It connects routes that are not connected commercially. So I'll give you an example. If I wanted to go from Dubai to Birmingham, Alabama, so it's a very, very specific airport I want to go to, I would have to change flights twice. But if I was flying private, I'd do one fuel stop and that's it. So let's say I had a factory there, producing auto parts, and I lived in Dubai, that would be the way I'd be going backwards and forwards. As far as it becoming more accessible, the industry is doing loads of things to try and make it a lot more accessible for people. I don't think naturally the price point will ever really drop below that business to first class kind of bracket, because these things are really expensive things to run naturally. Although in another 20 years, hopefully we'll have electric engines and things, and I think that will really reduce the price. But yeah, it's now you have mobile apps now you can book on, much like an Uber or that sort of thing. So yes, that's opening it up.
Asad, this is amazing. I mean, about your journey and how you apply innovation and technology. Coming from Alive Group, we prioritize innovation. How do you see the future of business aviation in the way we apply innovation and the way the business models are shifting? You talked about it's not going to be less expensive than business. Yeah. So how do you see that? Is economy flyers ever going to fly privately, or after electric planes, are we going to see economic passengers on there?
I think I'd answer your question in two ways. I would say, to begin with, the first point of private aviation that you're going to see become more affordable is what I would call urban aviation, right? So this is a whole new segment that's going to be emerging now. So that's the flying taxis, as a lot of people would call it, but we call it.
Is that the unmanned air taxi?
I don't think it'll be unmanned to begin with. I mean, I don't know if you'd want to get on an unmanned one just yet.
Not yet.
So not yet. You're going to prove it out first, but initially they will be manned, and eventually you'll see those companies go towards electric powertrains, which really reduces the cost. So let's say, I think we were having a conversation off air earlier on about traffic, and we want to hop between places in Dubai. That's a form of private aviation. It's just in an urban space. So I think that's the first point that we're going to see.
Are you talking about the Hyperloop, that it will compete with private aviation?
No, I'm saying that I think the Hyperloop is more competing with, I guess, trains. But no, this is if I say, okay, well, I want to go from the DIFC to the Palm Jumeirah, I can just book my flight and it hops me over. If that's an electric motor, it's generally cheaper to run than a big petrol turbine. As for the aircraft, as for the long range stuff, I don't see private aviation ever really reaching that point, just because of the amount of effort and resources that go into operating a single aircraft.
Yeah, during COVID, actually, we saw a huge shift in the demand on private aviation, right?
Yes.
Is that going to continue?
We saw, just to give you an idea, when things started opening up borders-wise, a 264% increase in traffic for business aviation. So,
amazing.
I mean, it was quite an interesting story. When COVID broke, I was sitting in my house and I thought, oh, great, well, I need to go and do something else. I need to go back to becoming a lawyer, I guess. And then it was just unbelievable, the surge we had, and the growth was phenomenal. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was great having you with us, Asad.
Thank you.
Are you ready for our DXB Today quiz?
No.
We have a couple of questions to test what happened today in the episode.
Tell me.
I will cue the clock.
Is there a prize?
Yeah, of course. You're going to have your name on the leaderboard at the end of the episode.
What is it?
So I'm going to cue the clock in 3, 2, 1. Which drone delivery company did we feature on the show today? iHop or Dronehop?
Dronehop.
That is correct.
I was focusing.
What is the fastest commercial aircraft in the world? Concorde or Boeing 747?
747.
That is correct. Asad Rahman is the managing director of which company? Jequity or Equity?
Jetwitty.
Jequity. That is correct. What is the most popular destination for private jet travelers? New York City or Fiji Islands?
Cayman Islands. No. Running away with tax.
Yes.
No, New York.
New York, that is correct. What location is the new airport set to become one of the busiest airports in Africa? Madagascar or Rwanda?
Rwanda, absolutely.
That is correct. Who was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean?
Amelia Earhart.
That is correct. Who was the first female aircraft engineer in the UAE featured on the show today?
Suaad Al Shamsi.
Suaad Al Shamsi, that is correct. What is the most common cause for delay in air travel? Bad weather or bad weather?
Bad weather.
She got that right.
Yay.
Wow, you got 8 points.
8 points from 10.
Yeah, that's a good job.
That's really good.
No, we didn't finish because you have a minute to answer. So, yeah,
okay.
So
well
your
done.
name is on the leaderboard. You did a good job.
Thank you so much, Dr.
you.
Laila.
Thank you
You're
very much.
amazing.
Thank you for
Asad,
having
Thank you
me.
very
let's
much for
fist
having
bump
me.
over here. You were awesome. Really, both such wonderful guests today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now it's time for a quick break, but when we return, Ahmed will be introducing our incredible 14-year-old Scottish duo, Seaside Feels. So stay right there because they are amazing.
Welcome back to the show. I'm standing here with Venice and Belle. Seaside Feels. Thank you very much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Can you tell us, first of all, the name is very interesting, and I just wanted to know, where did the name come from?
So we wrote it when we were 11 years old.
Wow.
I don't know, just because we like the seaside.
Okay.
There's nothing really behind it.
Because it sounds really nice, and you guys are 14 years old.
Yes.
How do you manage between performing, singing, writing songs, and then having your schoolwork done as well?
Well, I mean, we mostly just do our gigs on the weekend, and we very rarely have gigs after school. But like most of our gigs on the weekend, we sometimes do 2 in a day. And it's actually quite easy to balance it because we don't get a lot of homework thanks to our teachers. So yeah, it's pretty easy, yeah.
That's really good. Where can people find you performing here around in Dubai?
So we've performed a couple times in the Surf House Cafe. We performed in Al Sarkal, the Al-Quds Food Festival,
Yes.
and the Art Festival. And we also performed in Right Market. So you can find us anywhere. Yeah.
Okay, and of course here in DXB today.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
And I also wanted to know, you guys also write your own music,
Yes.
and there's a song that has won an award, and it's been in the 4th year in a row in the top leaderboard. So can you tell us more about it?
Well, that was my friend in Miami. That was
Yes.
the song name. We wrote it when we were quite young, and it was based off when our friend left Miami, and we just thought, oh, make a good name for a song, I guess. So we just wrote it off that. And we entered it, and we won the under-13s category.
Wow.
We've entered our song 4 times in a row now, and we've always gotten to top 30. And
Yes.
a song that we've entered Waiting in Line has gotten into the top 30 as well. So we're just waiting to see as it's gotten any farther.
And how did you find out you can sing and write songs?
Well, we've been playing and singing ever since we were little, and our dad used to play guitar with us, and we would sing songs. And we've been playing like professionally since in 2019.
2019, how old were you back then?
Like 11.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you have it, guys. I'll let you get ready, and Dina has an announcement for you.
Seaside Feels. I'm definitely feeling them. They're so cute. 14-year-old twins, so talented. Now there's still time for you to win onto the prizes. A one-night stay for 2, including breakfast at the Palazzo Versace Hotel. Go find the competition post on the Dubai One TV Instagram page and let us know why we should pick you of all people. Why should it be you?
Also, you can let us know what exciting things you are up to, and if you would like us to feature something on the show that you haven't seen, just use hashtag DXB today.
It's so exciting. Have you seen the 14 years old coming on the show, performing, singing all around Dubai?
I really wish I had that confidence
When I was 14, I was just
14.
sitting at home doing nothing, honestly.
Yeah, no, I'm fascinated. And also, I think the cutest thing about them is that it's like a family business. They've got the momager, the dadager, is that what you would say? So yeah, it's like a whole family affair. I have full confidence. You know, that's the nicest thing about DXB today is that we wrap up every segment, every show with some local talent. So way to go. I think they are going to be just amazing.
And we had a really interesting guests talking about aviation. We've learned a lot today about aviation, private jets, what people can do in that field. Being in aviation as well, you had a lot to put in with the guests today.
Oh my God, I was so excited to meet Dr. Laila. It was my first time meeting her, and I've followed her career from the beginning. She is such a trailblazer. Very humble, you know, she didn't say a lot of things on the show, but very, very humble. Okay,
now,
I think
it's a good night from us on this beautiful Wednesday. Make sure to join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. For now, Seaside Fields, take it away.
Me, they will wish for wars, 'cause they're good. What if to love and be loved not enough? What if I fall compared to get up? Who will wish for wars, 'cause they're good, 'cause they're good.